The following review is intended for entertainment purposes and targeted for adult fans of the series.
Hello there, heroes. I'm the Orange Ranger. Before I begin this video, there's something that I want to say. I feel that it's irresponsible not to use your voice, however small or large it may be, to speak out at significant moments in history, especially when the issues involved pertain to a true sense of right and wrong. You may wonder how current events involve me and a channel like this, but that's just it. We spend a lot of time thinking about good versus evil. The Power Rangers, and indeed Ultraman, fight against wrong, fight against evil, against those who would seek to seize power and subjugate everyone, only serving their own interests. On Wednesday, January 6th, as the United States House and Senate met in a joint session to confirm that Joe Biden had won the presidential election, the U.S. Capitol was attacked by an angry mob of armed terrorists, completely decked out in their support of Donald Trump, and forcing their way into the Capitol building and putting the lives of our public servants at risk. I try to avoid talking about politics on this channel, but there are times that I can't. Like I said, there are times that you must use whatever voice you've been given to speak out. I have to admit to being utterly baffled to find Power Rangers fans, and superhero comic fans as well, among the supporters of Donald Trump, the very antithesis of the tenet of diversity that a show like Power Rangers is almost mockingly devoted to. I try to be as welcoming as possible here at Orange Ranger Videos, but the truth is I do not welcome all comers to this channel. I do not welcome the hateful. I do not welcome the discriminatory. I have banned people in the past for being unwilling to accept diversity. That is the weight I place behind the statement I am about to make. If you in any way defend the terrorist mob that attacked Washington, D.C. on Wednesday, if you try to explain it away with baseless claims of voter fraud and this misguided sense of both-siderism, leave my channel. If you see that attack of terror by a hate-driven mob as anything other than the pure, disgusting, horrible moment that it was, I don't want your views. I don't want your subscriptions. I do not want your financial support. When I saw what was happening in Washington on Wednesday, I got depressed, anxious. I could not work on videos the entire day. It was that impactful and terrible of a moment to me. So if you support it in any way, I want nothing more to do with you. With that said, please enjoy this review of The Rise of Ultraman, issue number 5.
Please make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you can see all of our videos.
Yeah, and make sure you got your notifications set up by hitting that little bell icon so you get notified whenever we post any brand new videos.
Right you, right you, right you.
What he said was that if you'd like to support the channel in any way financially, you can consider checking us out on Patreon or Ko-fi at Orange Ranger Videos.
Right you.
The main cover sees Bemular, the giant kaiju, towering over Ultraman near the ocean. The photo cover also, I think, is Bemular, who looks like he's getting a noogie from Ultraman. The alternate cover is awesome. Just a simple shot of Ultraman standing giant in a city. Calm, no motion, but a thunderstorm. So atmospheric.
That was totally wicked!
Picking up right where we left off, the giant kaiju. Okay, fine, it's Bemular. I realize that I kind of spoiled that in the covers. They will establish it in this issue later. sits in the water readying to attack the city. Kiki realizes that they're pretty screwed. It's bigger than any kaiju they've ever faced, and Ultraman is out of time. Or is he? Here's a small little hand wave for you. Kind of like the realm of darkness in Kingdom Hearts, Kaiju Limbo exists outside of time. So, none of that time in the limbo counted against Ultraman's timer.
Oh well, gosh darn, ain't that convenient.
And there's just as convenient a solution for the other problem as well. The Ultra says it has been holding back for the sense of practicality. Now, growing wouldn't be escalation, let's say, anymore, so he can get giant-sized. Before moving forward, a quick little point of order. Up to this point, Shin and the Ultra have been speaking as two separate entities. However, here we really are seeing more of a merging with a combined form of speech where the two are speaking as a single entity. Shin's emotion is combined with the Ultra's knowledge.
Okay, let's dive in. Mickey, take the wheel!
Kiki says that the USP detected electromagnetic sensitivity in the Ultra suit, and basically they can bounce radio waves off the dude and communicate. Ultraman's not a big fan of communicating with the ones responsible for this, but Kiki points out they're dealing with a giant monster, and the priority here is saving lives. He responds by diving off the building, and she asks what the plan is. And the answer is, to think big. So I have to admit that this is a little disappointing, and I'm not even an Ultraman fan. Looking at this spread, if you're not into the series, do you even know what's going on? It looks like Ultraman just hits the ground and charges forward towards the monster. But no, as you can see, that was actually Ultraman growing big, which is a classic staple of the series. For those unaware, Ultramen are always giant on the TV show, and feature a moment in every show after transforming where they grow into their giant size. For that moment in the comic to not even really convey that sense of growth feels like a failure. It's actually almost enough to distract me from the goofy friggin' face on this kaiju. What is that face? This face immediately reminded me of something, but it took the longest time to piece together what it was. All I could drag out of my brain for a while was something about some kind of ugly dog. Then it finally dawned on me. In this shot, Bemular looks just like Ed, the slow and ugly hyena from The Lion King. Kiki calls Ultraman, who says he's a bit busy right now, but unfortunately he needs to hear this because it's more bad news. After they left the VTOL, Dr. Yamamoto forced Director Ichinotani into an escape pod and dumped him. Now Yamamoto has a VTOL to use for his own purposes. Hey, here's a page we can just breeze through. Kiki basically just says that the USP sent this thing to the vault once. They must have records on having fought it and a clue. Oh, and 93%. Ultraman is not winning this fight. Kiki suggests going for the finishing move, but Ultraman says that would use all of their remaining power, and that Bemular, who is named on this page, would not be defeated by this anyway.
Remember this, it's important, I swear, do not forget.
Kiki finds the records and realizes something terrifying. Bemular did not come from the kaiju world. Bemular was created by the USP back in the Ultra Q days. Kiki says they are responsible, including herself in that. Shin sort of speaks through more strongly here, saying it was them, not her. She has done the right thing at every opportunity. She warned Ultraman about the USP. She tried to keep Shin from shooting the Ultra. She is a good person. But she realizes something that answers another mystery. Why was she accepted to the USP, but Shin not? She's willing to keep secrets in order to keep people safe. She's willing to engage with the espionage and stuff. while Shin's destiny is to get up and punch monsters. Or to get up and get shot by VTOLs. Yep, we found Dr. Yamamoto. He makes his move, and his reasoning is actually really fascinating. Bemular hasn't done enough damage yet. If Ultraman stops this thing in the water, the USP will be able to explain it away. A hologram, a publicity stunt, light from Venus reflecting off of swamp gas. He wants Bemular to make it into the city and do some actual damage. Something that cannot be explained away. Waking people up to what's really going on. Just to point this out, true damage being caused, finally waking people up to what's been going on, is uncomfortably reflective of very recent events. Just to be clear, Dr. Yamamoto hasn't lost his mind, he even says so himself. He knows this is terrible, but he feels a responsibility since he helped start all this. Kiki tells Ultra that he can't fight them both. He may have to take down the VTOL, killing Yamamoto to survive. He refuses, giving a little speech about how they're all scared, but if they are going to get through this, they must forgive. Forgive the ones involved, and then forgive themselves.
Okay, I guess that makes sense.
Wow. What an interesting moral dilemma. Ultraman's having to deal with both this giant monster as well as Dr. Yamamoto, who's attacking him from some kind of perceived moral high ground. Now he's going to have to deal with them both without killing Dr. Yamamoto and...
Fine, we'll do things your way. You better prove me wrong, boy.
What?
Okay. Yamamoto just gives up on the idea of making sure everyone knows about the kaiju because something forgiveness something. Ultraman moves towards a bridge, grabbing the metal support ropes from it. He does something, basically lassoing the creature's neck. Its arms are free. Anyway, Ultraman throws the creature against the bridge and then activates his cross-armed laser finisher. Bemular explodes, ending the threat. Wow. What a meaningful, sacrificial ending. Ultraman used the very last of his power to take out this giant creature and save the world. Is it just the Ultra that's dead? Or has Shin also paid the ultimate price?
Everybody lives, Rose. Just this once. Everybody lives!
Not that it makes any sense. Yes, everyone is alive, even the Ultra, who we see as that half ghost thing like we normally do.
Excuse me, what?
You know, that's a great question, and here's the comic's answer. So anyway, Kiki hugs Shin, and director Ichino Tani is impressed, starting to come around on Yamamoto's idea that public awareness of the kaiju can be managed, especially with Ultraman's help. This USP badge isn't a radio, it's the real deal. Shin has been accepted to the USP. He looks at the badge, uncertain.
I'm hesitant.
At the ramen place, Kiki says Shin has been quiet, and he says he's been thinking while eating his entire weight in ramen. She points out that his other form will need some kind of name, and he points out the genius of the title. Ultraman. Ultraman. Even she's clearly impressed with the genius of that. She jokingly asks if Ultraman gets a huge USP uniform, and Shin expresses doubts about joining up. It's what he's always wanted, but now he knows the evils the USP has done. She says that's not fair, suddenly speaking for the USP despite being one of the loudest voices against them. The explanation is that she's part of the new USP, shepherding a new way forward. She says they're looking for a new solution, but he says just wanting one isn't enough. You have to do whatever it takes. To take responsibility, you have to face things head on. and this gives him an idea. One Kiki doesn't seem to think is all that good of an idea. Later, she's come around as they're discussing the idea with Ichinotani, and you can see all of the speech bubbles on this page, so I'm just going to go ahead and sum this up. The Kaiju vault is about to burst, and if it does, think of it like an above-ground pool. If the liner bursts in one spot, all the water is going to pour out right there. Instead, Ultraman's idea is to crack the whole thing in a way where it will entirely shatter, scattering the Kaiju across the entire world, likely to unpopulated areas for some reason. What's more, Ultraman doing this means the Kaiju will immediately imprint upon him. So wherever they end up, they will come after him. But won't that create insurmountable fear? Not with an open, transparent USP that creates hope against the Kaiju threat by showing people just who is fighting for them and how. The Ultra has approved of the idea. Ichinotani says they aren't ready for what they'll be facing, so Kiki asks him to guide them with his expertise. Oh, I think it's a little bit more than a coincidence that the first place besides Japan this story goes is New Zealand. A man in shambles stumbles into a corner store. He says that he is Dan Moriboshi, and he doesn't know where he is. Interesting. A fight goes on finale, setting up the way that world is going to proceed past the story and the new way of things, and you're not buying this for a second, are you? In fact, you probably already heard before this video even came out. Yes, heroes, this is not the end. Next time, the rise is over. The training wheels are off, and the stakes have never been higher. The trials of Ultraman begin here. Ultraman narrowly averted a catastrophe decades in the making. The world was saved, but also forever changed. Now come the consequences. So, this is not a finale. Well, it's kind of a finale. You know what this feels like? This feels like a Season 1 Neo Saban Power Rangers finale. They have to wrap up some of the plot threads, but also let some stuff linger so they have something to talk about in Season 2. The fight with Bemular just ends up feeling anticlimactic, but that's not as bad as two other story elements that really just ripped me out of the story because they're kind of direct contradictions to things they'd established. The first was Yamamoto's redemption, for lack of a better term. Yamamoto goes as far as firing on Ultraman. He is set in his course, convinced that Bemular must reach the city and do some damage to expose what the USP has been covering up. He knows he could die in doing this, but he is 100% willing to see it through. Until Ultraman says a couple of lines about hope and forgiveness and puppy dogs, etc., etc. Then he just gives up on the entire plan and lets Ultraman save the day. But worse than that was the clear, complete 180 on the arm laser finisher. They establish clear as day in this story that Ultraman cannot use that finisher against Bemular because their energy would be depleted, which they've established in past issues could be fatal to both Shin and the Ultra. And then 2 pages later, he just fires it off anyway, and the issue doesn't even treat it as a point of suspense. Let alone that they should be dead, it doesn't even act like they could be dead. We don't even get 1 page of Kiki calling out to Shin, not seeing either of them and wondering if they're alive.
Suspense!
You know what I think happened? I feel like the story was written to end here, with whatever fate would befall Ultraman after the fight with Bemular. But then, whoops, Marvel just called, we're getting another Ultraman series. So the story got a last-second rewrite of the ending, making it feel really disconnected from what came before. I'm just saying that we go from wondering if Ultraman will even survive this fight to apparently not having any concerns about Ultraman fighting every kaiju that's ever been on Earth. The Rise of Ultraman, issue number 5, gets a 3 out of 5. However, The Rise of Ultraman as a whole was an amazing translation of the Ultraman mythos to more Western sensibilities, while also staying true to its roots. It has great engaging characters, good mysteries, it sets up a great interesting world, it has fun action. I really do just love the world that it's set up, and screw it, let Ultraman interact with the Marvel Universe. The Rise of Ultraman as a whole gets a 5 out of 5. Oh, remember how I was saying that I was having to choose between whether I would review Ultraman or Mighty Morphin first this week? It turns out there was absolutely no reason to debate, as this month Mighty Morphin is coming out on January 13th. So, next time on A Comically Long Review, can the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers overcome an entire music festival full of chaos putties? Find out in my review of Mighty Morphin issue number 3. That is going to do it for another comically long review. Thank you, heroes, so much as always for watching. You can let me know what you thought of this issue, as well as my review of it, down in the comments below. And while you're down there, make sure you smack that thumbs up button to let me know that you enjoyed this video. Heroes, the past couple of days have been pretty scary, and the next couple of weeks going forward are pretty scary as well. But I feel like if those of us who truly value goodness and decency and honor just stick together and hold out, we're gonna make it through. And the future, for the first time in a while, actually looks pretty good going forward from that. Until next time, heroes, may the power protect you. She says that's not fair, and scrolling the Ultra has improved, the fight with But then, whoops, Marvel just called, we're getting another Marvel one. I feel like the story was actually written to end here, with whatever fate. You can let me know what you thought of this video, You can let me know what you thought of this issue, as well as my review. Gosh dang it.